She asked me something over dinner that made the room colder than it should have been. We were halfway through takeout Thai, her favorite, not mine, and she was scrolling on her phone with that smirk that doesn't reach her eyes. We hadn't spoken more than 20 words all evening. Her idea of a Friday night lately was expensive wine and Instagram stories of rooftop bars she wasn't at. Mine was quietly observing the person she used to be dissolving in front of me. She didn't look up when she said it. Just blurted it out like we were talking about weekend plans. I think we should invite Jenny out with us. Like, on a date. She still didn't lift her head. Just watched my reaction in the reflection of her wine glass. I didn't say anything right away. The silence stretched too long, and she took it as an opening. Not a big deal, she said casually, finally meeting my eyes. It'd be fun. I think you'd like her. There was something about the way she said it. The phrasing. Not we would like her. I would. Like she was making a personal offer wrapped in pretty paper. But there was something stale underneath. You think I'd like her? I repeated. As in, you want us to what, share drinks? Talk about our favorite movies? Now her expression shifted. Just slightly. Annoyance flickered, but she blinked it away. God, you're so literal. Just lighten up. It's not like I asked for anything crazy. I pushed my plate aside. I wasn't even hungry anymore. Why now? I asked. Out of nowhere? What? You get bored of me mid-noodles? She rolled her eyes like I was being dramatic, like the idea of suddenly including her very attractive, newly divorced coworker into our relationship for fun shouldn't cause even a ripple. But beneath that forced nonchalance, there was something else in her eyes, something twitchy and cornered. She didn't expect resistance. She thought I'd smile and say sure, because lately, I hadn't been saying much at all. What's going on? I asked, and this time my voice was lower, less amused. Be honest. She crossed her arms. I am being honest. No, you're performing. That hit. She stiffened, and for the first time in weeks, dropped the act. I'm tired of pretending this is enough, she snapped. You've turned into background noise. That line. It was like a knife pushed through velvet. You think adding someone else to the picture is going to fix that? I asked. You think bringing Jenny into this will make you less restless? She stared at me with a defiance that didn't match the context. Like I was the problem for noticing she was trying to shake up her dull marriage with fireworks she had no intention of watching explode. But I saw it. The way she bit the inside of her cheek. The hesitation in her eyes. This wasn't about Jenny. This was cover fire. She wasn't asking for permission. She was stalling. Something else was already happening, and Jenny was her smoke grenade. So I leaned forward, slowly. Let the silence breathe between us. Then I said, You're already seeing someone, aren't you? Her face didn't move. Not even a twitch. And that's when I knew. She stood up too quickly. Her chair screeched backward, and for a second, she looked like she might throw the wine glass still in her hand. But she didn't. She just held it there, frozen, calculating, like she was deciding between 3 different lies and trying to figure out which one I was most likely to swallow. I can't believe you're accusing me of that, she said finally, her voice trembling, but not with sadness, with fury, with offense that I had caught up to her game before she was ready for the reveal. No, I replied, still calm. You can believe it. You just didn't think I'd say it out loud. She laughed. Not a real laugh. That breathy, cold kind people use when they're trying to claw back control of a conversation. Then she sat back down, delicately, like she was suddenly rehearsing for a different scene. Fine, she said, drawing out the word. If you really want to go there, let's go there. I stayed quiet. I wanted to see what version of the truth she'd serve me. It's nothing serious, she started, which was never a good beginning. He's someone I talk to. We go for coffee sometimes. That's all. His name? I asked. Her mouth opened, then closed again. There it was, the pause. The guilty person's best friend. Don't do this, she muttered. Don't make this a witch hunt. It's not like I'm sleeping with him. I didn't flinch, didn't even blink. So you admit there's a him? I admitted to coffee, she snapped. Do you want me to live like a nun just because we're married? I want you to live like a person with a conscience. I shot back. And maybe not sneak around with some faceless barista you refuse to name. He's not a barista, she said. then froze, realizing she'd given me more than she meant to. So I stood up. Not fast, not loud, but with purpose. You're not just bored, I told her. You're guilty. You're drowning in it, and instead of owning it, you're trying to distract me with some performance art date night. I am not guilty, she hissed, standing to now, her voice rising. I'm just tired of this beige little box of a life you're so comfortable in. You used to be alive, remember that? Before you became a routine with shoes. That one stung. She said it with venom. Like she'd been holding that in for months, waiting for a fight big enough to throw it into. I stepped closer to her. Not threatening, but steady. You're deflecting. Again. You're sleeping with someone, aren't you? She looked away. Not down. Not up. Just away. And when she did speak, it was quieter but sharper. It started as talking. That's all I'm going to say. That was the confirmation. She gave it away without meaning to. The way someone confesses a crime they've rationalized into something harmless. And now? I asked. She didn't answer. Instead, she walked into the kitchen, poured the rest of the wine into her glass, and took a long sip like it was just another Tuesday. Like my life hadn't just cracked wide open. I didn't chase her. I didn't beg. I watched her shoulders. Too calm. Too steady for someone who just admitted to emotional betrayal. And I realized, this wasn't a mistake. This wasn't a fling. She meant this. She wanted it to come out. Maybe not tonight. Maybe not like this. But eventually, she wanted to blow it all up. And I was just now realizing the fuse had been lit a long time ago. She didn't come to bed that night. I heard the lock click on the guest room door around 1:47 a.m. I was lying there in our bed, staring at the ceiling fan spinning too slowly, and I heard it. That soft, deliberate click. Not the kind of sound you make when you're uncertain or regretful. It was final, like she was putting a period at the end of a sentence she'd already rewritten without me. I didn't sleep. My brain wouldn't stop slicing the night into broken scenes. The way she looked at me, not hurt, not ashamed, not even sorry, just tired of pretending. The part that stuck with me most was that it didn't even feel like she was afraid of losing me. It was like she had already put me in a box and moved on. At 6:08 a.m., I got up and checked her phone. Yeah, I know. You're not supposed to. It's the one sacred line people swear not to cross. But if she was done playing fair, I figured the rules were no longer part of the game. It was under a name I didn't recognize, Lindsay, with a sunflower emoji next to it. Who puts an emoji next to a female coworker's name unless you're hiding something? I tapped it. The messages weren't long. They didn't need to be. He asked about us. Don't say anything. Let it fall apart first. He's not stupid. He knows. Then one from the other number. Do you want me to pick you up after your date with him? She replied. Yeah. I'll need a drink after playing house. My hands shook so hard I had to put the phone down on the bathroom counter. I didn't want to drop it. I didn't want to break it. I wanted her to see it exactly where I left it. Screen lit up with her betrayal on display. She wasn't just lying. She wasn't just cheating. She was staging the whole thing like a theater production, and I was the idiot cast in the role of the clueless husband. I waited in the kitchen, didn't make coffee, didn't speak, just sat there while the sun crawled through the windows and painted the room with fake warmth. She came out around 7:22 a.m., fully dressed in tight jeans and a gray sweater that didn't belong to her. It was too big, sleeves rolled, like it came from someone else's closet. She didn't look surprised to see me awake. Morning, she said. Cool. Unbothered. You forgot to delete the messages, I said. She stopped walking. Not frozen. Just still. Her eyes didn't go wide. She didn't panic. She just looked at me like she was assessing damage, deciding how much truth to give. And then she said the most astonishing thing. Good. One word. Just that. No panic. No apology. I'm done pretending, she added. I've been done for months. I stayed because it was easier than leaving. Then why the game? I asked. Why the fake date? Why not just say it? She leaned on the counter across from me, calm as a morning anchor on live TV. Because I wanted to see if you'd fight for me. I stared at her. My voice dropped to something lower than anger. You wanted me to fight? While you were already leaving? She didn't respond, just tilted her head. You think that's love? I asked. You think betrayal is some twisted loyalty test? It's survival, she said simply. I didn't want to be the only one who broke this. And there it was. The selfishness dressed up as some philosophical insight. She wanted it to collapse in mutual ruin so she wouldn't have to carry the weight of being the villain. But it was too late. She already was. She left the house at 8:03 a.m. Didn't slam the door. Didn't say goodbye. Just walked out like it was any other Monday. Keys jangling. Her boots tapping down the front steps in a rhythm that sounded rehearsed. I sat there for a long time after she left, watching the dust float in the morning light, trying to understand how it all felt so quiet when everything inside me was splitting at the seams. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just sat. Around 9 o'clock, I called my best friend Nate. We hadn't talked in 2 months. He always said I got too domesticated. Like marriage had made me a ghost. I told him everything. Not the watered-down version. The real thing. The Jenny story. The messages. The fight for me nonsense. And Nate just said 3 words. She's been planning this. That's when it clicked. All the late nights. The new passwords. The way she'd stopped taking calls around me. How she started locking her phone even just to shower. Her sudden interest in taking time for herself. It wasn't random. It was a blueprint. I remembered last month. Exactly 27 days ago. She came home late from work drinks, wearing different earrings than she'd left with. Claimed she bought them on the way back because they were on sale. I didn't question it. I wanted to believe her. I wanted peace more than truth. God, I was such an idiot. Nate offered to come over. I said no. I needed to be in it to feel it. This wasn't something I could just escape by watching a game and downing a beer. I needed to sit in the wreckage and understand what she'd done. So I started digging. Not emotionally, logistically. I went into our shared laptop, the one she used for freelance design work. There was a hidden folder inside the drive titled Admin Docs. She thought she was clever. She wasn't. Inside were screenshots, hotel confirmations, rideshare receipts, photos. Not with him, she was careful there, but of herself. In mirrors. In outfits I'd never seen before. Ones I definitely didn't buy. Lingerie in hotel bathrooms. Wine glasses by the sink. Her smiling at nothing. One picture even had a man's wristwatch blurred in the reflection of a wall mirror. She must have missed it while editing. But I didn't. She was there. In someone else's space. Happy. I copied everything to a flash drive and dropped it into the top drawer of my desk. Not because I wanted revenge. Not yet. But because when the time came for the truth to matter, to friends, family, lawyers, I wouldn't just have a story. I'd have evidence. Around noon, she texted me. I'll be home late. Don't wait up. I stared at the screen. That was it. Not, can we talk? Not, I'm sorry. Not even a lie. Just logistics. Like I was a housemate. Not the man she'd shared 6 years of her life with. So I replied. Take your time. There's nothing here for you anymore. She didn't answer. But I know she read it. At 6:41 p.m. I heard a car pull up. Not her usual rideshare app ping. Not her compact sedan with the squeaky brakes. This was a smooth engine, unfamiliar. A black SUV. Sleek. Expensive. I watched from the upstairs window, lights off. Invisible. She stepped out wearing a dark green dress I'd never seen before. The kind that was all curves and intention. She laughed at something the driver said. Tossed her hair. Didn't even glance at the house. And then she kissed him. Quick, practiced like a habit. Like this wasn't the first time she'd used my driveway as a drop-off point for someone else's affection. Then she adjusted her purse, waved him off and walked inside. I didn't confront her right away. I wanted to see if she'd lie one more time. If she'd bother crafting some last-minute version of the truth. I waited in the kitchen. She came in humming. Not a care in the world. She didn't even look startled to see me standing there. Just tossed her keys into the bowl, kicked off her heels and said, You're still here. I live here, I said. She poured herself a drink. Ice clinked against the glass like punctuation. I meant, she said without turning around. I thought you'd be gone. I figured that message earlier was your dramatic exit. You figured wrong. She finally looked at me, eyes sharper now, assessing, measuring. And then she said something that made my skin crawl. Do we have to do this now? I had a long day. I stepped closer. Not fast. Not threatening. Just present. I saw him. I saw the car. I saw you. There was a beat of silence. She didn't gasp. Didn't flinch. Just took another sip of her drink. Then set it down on the counter with deliberate calm. You were watching? She asked. That's creepy. You brought him to our house. She leaned back against the counter and smiled. Not with happiness, but with control. Like she'd finally pushed the chessboard into check. What did you expect, honestly? You stopped being interesting 2 years ago. You became wallpaper. That word again. She kept using words like routine, background, faded, as if commitment meant decay. As if love was supposed to be a constant performance of fireworks and confessions. I expected honesty, I said. She scoffed. Honesty? For me? Kyle, if I'd been honest with you, you would have melted into a puddle months ago. You can't handle truth. You just want the version that lets you feel like the good guy. Then tell me the version I can't handle, I said. My voice didn't rise. It dropped. Steady. Cold. She didn't hesitate. I've been with him for 5 months. We started talking during that weekend you went to visit your brother. We didn't plan it, it just happened. And before you say anything, no, I don't regret it. 5 months. Not weeks. Months. My fingers curled into fists at my sides. Not from rage, but from restraint. I wanted to say everything. Burn it all to the ground with words. But I didn't. Instead, I asked the one question that had been clawing at the back of my throat. Why did you stay? She blinked. For the first time all night, she looked unsure. I guess I didn't want to be the one who ended it, she said. I thought if you found out, it'd solve itself. So you used me, I said. I postponed the inevitable, she replied, with a shrug that made me want to scream. There it was, the coldest truth. She didn't love me. She didn't even hate me. She just didn't think I mattered anymore. I didn't speak to her for the rest of that night. Not a single word. I walked past her. I moved through the house like a shadow, careful not to touch anything she'd touched. Every object suddenly felt contaminated. Every mug, every blanket, even the air between us. She didn't try to follow me, didn't knock on the door when I locked myself in the study. It was like she'd already mentally moved out, and I was just some leftover piece of furniture she hadn't decided whether to donate or destroy. I stayed up scrolling through pictures on my phone. Old ones. From the early days. Vacations where she clung to me like I was her gravity. Birthday dinners with shared desserts and red wine smiles. Selfies in bed on lazy Sundays. I was smiling in all of them. She was too. But now I couldn't stop looking at her eyes, wondering if those smiles were ever real, or just rehearsals for the life she wanted me to believe in. Around 2:12 a.m. I made a decision. The next morning, I printed out the screenshots. All of them. The texts. The hotel bookings. The calendar invites labeled with fake names. Every single piece of evidence I had. I laid them out on the dining table in 3 neat piles. One for the truth. One for the timeline. One for the lies. She walked in at 7:43 a.m., hair still wet from a shower I didn't hear, wearing one of my old college hoodies like it was some badge of nostalgia. She saw the papers, froze, then tilted her head like she was reading an art installation. You actually printed them? She said, trying to laugh. What is this, a high school exposé? This is a courtesy, I said. So you're not confused when your parents ask why I left. Her face changed at that. You're going to tell them? She asked, the casual tone suddenly gone. I'm not just going to tell them, I said. I'm going to show them. You can call it creepy. I call it clarity. She sat down across from the piles, picked up one photo, her in that mirror, the wristwatch in the corner. She set it back down like it burned. This isn't necessary, she said quietly. We can just end this privately. No, I said. You ended it privately. I'm just pulling back the curtain. She leaned back in the chair, arms crossed, but her confidence was cracking now. Her mouth tightened. Her nails tapped against the wood of the table. I didn't want it to get ugly, she muttered. It is ugly, I said. You just dressed it up in dinner reservations and silence. We sat there in silence for a long minute. Then I stood. I'll be out in 3 days, I said. You'll get a message from my lawyer next week. Until then, Don't talk to me unless it's about the dogs or the house. You're really walking away? No, I said. You walked away. I'm just catching up. She tried to act indifferent at first, like my decision to leave was expected, even convenient. But something shifted once I actually started packing. I didn't make a scene. No suitcases in the living room. No yelling. Just cardboard boxes, quietly assembled in the garage, filled with my things. The things she never noticed disappearing. A jacket here, a book there, the bottle of cologne she once claimed she loved. It was like performing a silent exorcism, one object at a time. On the second night, she came into the bedroom while I was folding clothes. She leaned against the doorframe like a casual observer. I could smell her perfume, the same one she used to wear on our anniversary dinners. Felt like a joke now. You're really going through with this, she said, almost surprised. I didn't look at her, just kept folding. Was there a version of this where I stayed? I asked. Where I ignored it all and waited for you to bring him over for brunch? She didn't answer. She just watched me. Then she said something that actually managed to shock me. I thought you'd be more pathetic about it. I turned to face her, slowly, not because I was angry, but because the venom in her voice was so deliberate it almost deserved acknowledgement. Excuse me? You were always the safe one, she said. The boring one. I thought you'd cry, grovel, beg me to choose you. You thought I'd fall apart, I said. She nodded. That's what they all do. There it was. They. Not you. Not we. Just some impersonal pool of men she lumped me into like a discarded draft class. You wanted me to fall apart, I said. So you'd feel powerful walking away. She gave a half shrug, then walked over and picked up a shirt from the bed. One of mine. She held it like it meant something, maybe it did once, and then dropped it back onto the pile like it didn't. I guess I was wrong about you, she said. No, I replied. You were right. I was boring. I was stable. I was loyal. I was exactly the man you said you wanted. You just outgrew pretending. She turned and walked out without another word. I waited until I heard her close the door to the guest room, then sat down on the edge of the bed. Not to cry, not to think, just to feel the silence she had filled with lies for too long. That night I wrote the letter. Not to her, to myself. A final tally of everything I gave, everything I lost, and everything I would never allow again. It wasn't a goodbye, it was a reckoning. A reminder that I had seen the worst version of love, and survived it. And it was finally time to leave the ruins. The morning I left, it rained. Not dramatically, just a slow, persistent drizzle that made everything feel heavier. Fitting, I thought, like the sky knew it was watching a burial. The end of something that had once looked like a future. I loaded the last box into the back of my car around 8:12 a.m. She wasn't up yet, or at least she hadn't come out. The house was silent. No coffee brewing, no footsteps overhead. Just the hum of the refrigerator and the occasional creak of wood adjusting to the cold. Before I left, I walked through each room one last time. Not to reminisce, not even to grieve. I just wanted to remember it as it was, in full color, before it faded into that half-dream place broken relationships go to die. In the living room, I paused at the bookshelf. There was a note wedged between two novels. Not mine, hers, handwritten. I recognized the curves of her letters instantly. I pulled it out and read it. I thought I was unhappy because of you. Turns out, I was just unhappy with myself. But now you'll hate me, and maybe that's easier than admitting the truth. No name. No apology, just that. A coward's confession, left behind like a breadcrumb that leads nowhere. I left the note on the kitchen counter. Didn't take it, didn't destroy it. Let her wonder whether I read it, let her guess how it landed. As I turned to leave, the front door opened. She stood there in a robe, hair messy, eyes swollen from either sleep or guilt. She looked at me like she wanted to say something important, maybe even profound. But whatever speech she had rehearsed didn't make it past her lips. You're really doing it, she said quietly. I already did, I replied. She stepped aside, letting me walk past. I didn't look back, not even when she whispered my name. But halfway down the porch steps, she called out louder. Are you going to tell people everything? I stopped, rain beating on my jacket. I turned halfway, not to face her fully, just enough so she'd know I heard. "I'm going to tell the truth," I said. "Whatever that makes you is not my problem anymore." Then I walked to the car and drove away, the house shrinking in my rearview like a bad memory fading on purpose. I didn't cry. I didn't turn the radio on. I just drove, letting the road stretch between us, mile by mile, erasing her. I stayed with Nate the first week. His guest room smelled like old gym bags and dog treats, but it was clean and, more importantly, silent. He didn't ask questions. He didn't push. Just handed me a cold beer the night I arrived and said, "There's extra toothpaste in the drawer. Don't touch my bourbon." I appreciated that more than I could say. But silence doesn't protect you from the flashbacks. The first 3 nights, I couldn't sleep. I'd close my eyes and see her, laughing at that man's joke in our driveway, standing over the kitchen sink like nothing mattered, flipping through pictures of us with the same fingers she used to text him. Every memory started to feel like a counterfeit bill. Polished, convincing, but worthless. On the 4th night, Nate broke the silence. "She reached out to me," he said. We were sitting on his back patio, the stars drowned out by the city haze. I didn't react. Not right away. "She asked if you were okay," he added. "Said she hoped you weren't spiraling." That made me laugh. An actual laugh. Bitter, short, ugly. "She burned the house down and now she's worried about the smoke," I muttered. "She also asked if I thought you'd ever come back." I turned to him then, really looked at him. "What did you say?" He didn't flinch. "I told her, if you come back, it won't be for her. It'll be for something better." That stuck with me. Something better. At the time, I didn't know what that meant. All I knew was that I needed to start reclaiming pieces of myself. Not for revenge. Not for image. For survival. So I started making lists. Not just to-dos, what now lists. Things I'd let go of: painting, running, Sunday morning drives with no destination. People I'd lost touch with because I was too busy managing someone else's moods. Dreams I'd shelved because they didn't fit into her version of grown-up life. By day 6, I had contacted an apartment broker. Day 8, I'd signed a lease. Tiny 1-bedroom. Wood floors. No shared closet. Perfect. I picked up my keys that Friday. As I opened the front door, I stood there for a minute, letting the quiet rush over me. No perfume in the air. No tension hanging in the corners. Just space. Empty. Honest. Mine. 3 months later, I bumped into her. Of all places, Whole Foods. I was there grabbing coffee and oat milk, trying to learn how to cook for myself again. She was in the frozen foods aisle, holding a bag of organic blueberries like it was a prop in some parody of her old life. She noticed me before I noticed her. I heard her voice first. She said my name soft, like it was something she used to sing. I turned, and for the first time since everything, I didn't feel heat, or rage, or heartbreak. I felt nothing. A clean, uncut kind of stillness. She looked surprised. Not that I was there, but that I wasn't broken anymore. I wasn't hollow-eyed and wilted. I was standing tall, holding my own damn groceries, not hers. "You look good," she said. I nodded. "I feel good." There was a pause. "I've been thinking about you a lot," she added. "Of course you have," I replied. Not to be cruel, just because it was true. People like her always circle back when they realize the bridge they burned didn't scream as it fell. She took a step closer, clearly searching for some thread of connection to yank. "I didn't expect to see you," she said. "It's weird." "I don't think it is," I told her. "Things that are over tend to bump into you when you've finally moved on." Her smile faltered. Then she said, "I made mistakes, Kyle." "No," I said. "You made decisions. That's different." She went quiet, and in that silence, I realized she wasn't here to apologize. She was here to be forgiven. She wanted permission to feel better about what she'd done. But that wasn't mine to give. So I didn't. I just said, "Take care of yourself," and turned away. As I walked out with my little bag of groceries and an even smaller bag of history, I felt lighter than I had in years. Not because I had some grand moral victory, but because I'd finally understood something most people spend a lifetime trying to learn. Not everyone who breaks you deserves a seat in your recovery. Some people only serve one purpose in your life: to teach you what betrayal really looks like up close, so you never mistake it for love again. So, to anyone reading this and wondering if they should stay or go, If someone makes you feel like your stability is a flaw, if they ask for forgiveness before they even show remorse, if they try to turn your loyalty into their excuse, walk, not because you're giving up, but because they already did, and you're just catching up.